Morning guys, so today is Wednesday. I thought I'd record a video today on the way to the gym instead of afterwards. Yesterday was a great day because we also had some additional guests come into the Harvard ecosystem. We had the former Prime Minister of Singapore who came in to give a talk, and I'll add a few pictures from the talk in the video. And then we also had Pete Buttigieg, who I think is the Secretary of Transport here in the US. He also came and did a talk as well. So yeah, these are two very high profile people. And it speaks, I think, to the ecosystem here where they can attract speakers like this to events, but sometimes you're not even aware of it. But then you walk past a room or a hall and then you realize who's actually speaking. So it's something that I definitely don't take for granted, the caliber of speakers and also what they talk about and the experiences that they're sharing. And both of the speakers that I just mentioned now, they are both former Harvard students as well. So I think it's also a way for them to give back and come back and stay connected to the community. So an inspiring day, inspiring talks. Today is Wednesday. That means the classes that I have today are reasoning from history, science of behavior change, and thinking analytically in the afternoon. Is essentially the same classes I have on Monday. So Monday and Wednesday are basically mirrored as the same day, similar to Tuesdays and Thursdays. So should be a good day with the lectures I have. Just on my way to the gym now. Had quite a big dinner yesterday evening because I went out with my flatmates. And we went to Felipe's, which for those that know, is a staple here in the area. So we'll keep you updated on how the day goes and what we talk about in the lectures. Workout done, on the way to class. The first class today is reasoning from history. So as already mentioned, this mirrors the schedule on Monday, and today's obviously Wednesday. Today's topic is around the Iraq War, and we'll be looking back to see what was the decision-making process to enter the war, what happened during it, and then also the repercussions afterwards. What was interesting is for the pre-reads of this class, the commonly agreed consensus is that it was a strategic mistake. So here we'll be looking back to why that decision was made and what are the implications that has led to today in 2024. And also strategically thinking further ahead, how can we avoid something like that happening again? So super interesting topic. In our class, we've got very diverse backgrounds and experiences, so it should be a really good discussion. Hey guys, so just about to head to my second class of the day. Just a quick recap in terms of the discussion this morning. So it was my reasoning from history class, great discussion around the Iraq War, what was good, what was not so good, very good debate within the class with a wealth of different backgrounds and experiences. Also, I was able to agree with the professor for him to share a little bit about why we think reasoning from history is so helpful and a good tool for leaders in the future. So that should be coming in this video. Morning, guys. So just finished the class with Professor Logevall, who teaches history here at Harvard. There's many accolades that I can share about the professor. The fact that he's been involved in more than 10 books, is one of the most well-known and prestigious history lecturers here within Harvard. Just a few of many, many accolades that this professor has. Now, as we've just finished our lecture, a history lecture this morning, I wanted to ask the professor very quickly what his views are on history and using this as a tool, whether you're a leader in the policy world or the private sector. And in the professor's class, we've learned many amazing frameworks and tools, but I've asked the professor if he can to help narrow down the top 3 tools and frameworks that we can use when using history in our leadership journey. So, Professor, what are the top 3 tools from your perspective?
Well, let me first say it's fun to be with you. Second, that the core focus of the class springs from an acknowledgement that leaders continually offer, a perspective they offer, which is that history is absolutely crucial to their decision-making. So if that's the case, how can we as students and as future leaders make better use of that history. And I think the three that I would do, if I were to pick three, it's always hard to limit.
Is that trying to pick your favorite child?
Yeah,
Impossible.
exactly. How do we do that? But I think that I would say that tools that we should use and learn how to use. One is analogies, both how analogies can help us in decision making, but also how they can lead us astray. Ernest May, who taught here for a long time, became increasingly disillusioned, I think, at the end of his career, because he felt that leaders tended to analogize badly. So one of the things we're trying to do is to help leaders do it better, because we know they're going to do it, just as all human beings analogize. We do it all the time, as we've discussed in class. So that's the first. The second I think I would choose is maybe the obvious one, which is we got to know our history. It doesn't mean that leaders can know down to the level of sources and documents and archives, but I think it's important for leaders themselves and for the people around leaders to understand what actually happened at Munich 1938. We keep talking about the Munich analogy, to go back to analogies, but what actually occurred? So knowing your history, I think, would be the second point that I would make. The third thing maybe I would stress is that we can, it refers to generalization. We can generalize from history. We have to, however, acknowledge that there are also really important differences. And so the task becomes knowing the limitations of generalization, what it promises. And ultimately, I think all three of these tools, if that's the right word, can help us ask better questions. I think where history is most useful is not in giving answers, but in telling us what questions to ask, and the result can be better possible.
Powerful stuff, Professor. And just to emphasize, we've been here for one semester now, and every week the professor's sharing different tools, different frameworks, and applying that to different cases in history as well. So it's been a privilege to learn from this professor. If anyone's interested in studying Harvard, I would highly recommend this course with Professor Logevall. But thank you, Professor, so much for the time, for the energy, and for the insights. And for all the people listening and watching out there, hope this has also been useful for you. Now that class is done, heading over to the second class of the day, which is called Science of Behavior Change. In today's class, I'm working on a group project together with 3 of my classmates. And the idea of this group project is to propose a policy intervention to achieve an outcome, ideally a better outcome, in terms of the policy world. So it's an interesting subject that we've picked. It's a great group that I'm working with. Diverse set of experiences in terms of private experience, public experience, working in the UK government to working in the UAE government as well. And then I'm coming there with my private industry hat on. So super interesting. Looking forward to working together with the group, and I'll let you know how it goes. Hi guys, so this is the Science of Behavior Change class I just mentioned. So we are working on a policy proposal as a group. Here I have Sunny with me, who's part of my group. So Sunny, do you want to say hi?
Hi everybody, how y'all doing?
Potter. Sunny keeps taking the piss out of me. So Sunny has got a very interesting background. Despite him looking like a nice guy, he's worked with bad people. That's a joke. What's the joke? No, actually, Sunny, why didn't you do a quick intro in terms of what you've done and what we're working on today?
So I worked, I used to work in the government in the UK. We're now working on a project for behavior science, and we're trying to find an intervention to get bosses to not message employees after working hours. And I'm trying to bring some experience from the UK. We've got some colleagues who are bringing some experience from the Emirates. So it's an exciting project. We've got a team here and, getting shit done. That's how we do.
So Sunny's been a great member of this project. As Sunny has said, we have 4 people in our group in total. So Sunny and I, we also have Khadija here from the UAE. And also Sheikha here as well. So there's 4 of us in this group. Actually, let me pan around so you can see how the whole class looks like. This is what the whole class looks like. So it's a very active class to discussion. And this is maybe... but yeah, thank you for tuning in. It's a good project. It's actually great because it allows people from different backgrounds to work together, especially people from different countries, department groups, private sectors, and super insightful in terms of what we're proposing. So look forward to giving you an update on how this project evolves. Right, guys, so that call was done. Very encouraging. Looks like we've got another investor agreed to work with us, this time from the US. Now I've got 10 minutes before my last class for today. That class is Thinking Analytically with Professor Dan Levy. And as explained in the Monday part of the video, this class is all about using different models and decision frameworks and making sure that we don't have bias behind our decision making, that everything is really data driven, and how we can apply these different frameworks in terms of shaping policy in the public sector, in the private sector, whichever areas of interest that you have. In this particular class today, we'll be talking about Germany and how they managed the pandemic. During the pandemic time, they had to deal with PPE, they had to deal with vaccinations, they had to deal with not a lot of information. So we're doing a case study on how during that time they looked at all these different data points that they had at the time and what were the decisions they made, and could they have made those decisions in a different way, and would that have led to a different outcome. So it's a really good class, very data driven, but that I really appreciate, especially coming from a finance background as well. So should be a good class. Professor Dan Levy is one of my favorite professors here at Harvard. So look forward to sharing how the lecture goes.